Welcome to Hannah's Heart.
So Hannah, she's just one of the women who did struggle with infertility in the Bible.
No matter who we are, we can be inspired by the fact that Hannah took her pain to God, and God heard her and was with her.
So when she was praying at the temple, she had been weeping and not eating, and her lips were moving, but her eyes were closed, and the priest was like, "Hey, why are you drunk at the temple?"
It can become an obsession when you want a child so deeply.
And desiring that baby and to be a mama. Every holiday, every Mother's Day.
This is not a show that's going to promise you a certain outcome, but this is a show that says, however God answers your cry, we know that He's enough.
Hey, I'm Ann with Hannah's Heart on American Family Radio, and thank you so much for listening in today. Usually I have a co-host, Kendra, who is not in today, but if you're watching on one of our streaming platforms or YouTube, you will see that I am still here with a special guest, and we will get to her in just a second. If you are new to this program, we are a program and small ministry that focuses on couples who struggle with infertility, miscarriage, that type of thing. But we have definitely grown to talk about adoption and foster care, child loss, singleness, just different ways that your life may look a lot different than what you pictured it looking right now. And how, if you allow the Lord to lead you and to be with you in those situations, that you'd be really surprised about all the prayers that will be answered along the way. And maybe all the prayers that have already been answered if you just look back and see what the Lord has done in your life. So today we are going to talk about one of those other topics that I just mentioned. We are going to talk about foster care. And I have Miss Natalie Richey with me today, whose heart is all wrapped up in this from what I understand. So Natalie, I'm so glad that you're joining us today.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I'm glad to be here.
I'm so glad. Me and you have talked back and forth about this for a while now. And what I was saying before we started recording was that you actually go to church with some other staff at AFA, right?
Mm-hmm. I do. Yep.
So she's local to Tupelo. That's where our home base is, Tupelo, Mississippi. And she goes to a church here, and she has helped start a ministry at that church. And we'll get into that in just a little bit. But first off, do you mind just telling us about yourself for a minute and what your family looks like and kind of where your heart started to get involved in foster care a long, long time ago?
Yeah. So if you listen to me long enough, you'll figure out that I live in Tupelo, but I'm not originally from Mississippi. So I'm actually Canadian by birth, but lived as a northerner in Wisconsin and moved to Mississippi about 2000. And where it really all starts for me, let me back up to my family and then I'll tell you where it all starts. So we've got our older children are in Wisconsin, and then we've got our younger children here. All our grandbabies are up in Wisconsin, so we spend a lot of time. Family is important.
Yeah.
Serving, obviously, is important. Just kind of who my husband and I are. We love to be able to serve and spend time with our family. That's what we do 95% of our time. But where I was kind of going, where it all started for me is, so as a child, I was abused. And then felt a pull or a call for a very long time. I had my oldest daughter when I was 15.
Oh, my goodness.
And just really felt the need to want to give back to children or to support children who went through what I went through. Because back then, that was, and I'm dating myself and aging myself, but that was in the 80s, as a teenager coming up. And there just wasn't the support or the knowledge about trauma back then as there is now.
It wasn't even talked about, really.
No. So it was all a big secret. So that's where it all started.
Wow.
When I moved to Mississippi, I went to school and got a degree in social work. And so I started off working here in Mississippi, working in children's mental health, and really just was looking to make a difference, looking to help children walk through in a better way than what I went through.
Yeah.
I got a wonderful opportunity as time went on to learn a process called wraparound that really supports, and the values are around it are keeping children in their home with their families as best as we can. And we all know that, God's plan for families and how families are supposed to look, and the evil in the world has kind of destroyed a lot of that. And so this process really helps to to support that. That helps to support their biological families and trying to work with them, and if it needs to happen, then going into foster care or adoptive families, and so it supports that process. And so I get to do it at a national level now.
Wow.
I worked in the state of Mississippi, and then I got certified and trained and got my master's degree, and then have been able to do it at the national level. So I get to work in all kinds of different states.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yes.
So wraparound, that is that done while a child is in foster care, or this is done before?
It can be done if they're in foster. The intention is so what happens in all of our child systems is nobody communicates with one another. And
That's a big problem everywhere.
Yes. And so they don't communicate with one another, and who really truly loses out in that is the children and then the biological families, because they get all these plans created with that for them and nobody's talking to one another. And so this process really supports everybody being together, focusing on how can we keep families together and how can we keep children in their communities.
Wow.
It's kind of the intention of it.
Chills. Just we were foster parents for a few different kiddos along the way, and we ended up adopting our son Mark. But yeah, the communication. I mean, like, what do people say? You hit the nail on the head, because it wasn't there between the resource worker, the social worker, the judge, the bio family, the foster family, oh goodness. We had 2 girls in our home just for a few days, and they had been through something very horrific, and they removed school districts immediately. That next day, I sent them to school. I was told they will no longer be at that school. You need to tell the teachers this was the next day, you need to tell the teachers to pack up their things. They're moving school systems. And I was like, what? These children just got removed from their home. Like, they're at my house. They can still go, anyway. Just that is when, eyes wide open immediately. Second day into this, seeing how the communication and this might kind of hurt to say this, but like policy seems to be such a big deal. And it's like children should go over policy. Then, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes.
But anyway, I love that you brought up even just something as what sounds so simple as communicating well could really be what the child needs the most, you know? So anyway, I want to learn more about what you're talking about. But today I have you on not to even talk about that. At the time of this recording, we are in April, but this recording is going to air in May for Foster Care Awareness Month. We try to do this each May to just bring awareness to how much foster care is needed, people volunteering in any way, shape, or form, because really there's more to it than just being a foster parent. There's all kinds of different ways to support foster families, social workers, all the things. So let's dive into that.
So the way that our church, Hope Church here in Tupelo, responded to that, and because we do know there's all of what you're saying going on out there, and what we know is families who are fostering, most of them stop fostering within the first year. About 80% or so stop fostering, and so there's a need for support. There's in any given time in the state of Mississippi, there's 3,000 to 4,000 children who are in foster care. In our country is 300 to 400,000.
300 to 400,000 children in foster care
in our country, and 100,000 waiting to be adopted in every given time.
Oh, my word.
These are the numbers. When we talk about a foster care crisis, this is what we're talking about.
Yeah. Talk about a pandemic.
Yes. All these children waiting and needing support, and then we don't have near the foster parents that we need. And so what happens is that we don't, so what we talked about earlier about communication issues, foster parents, there's lots that goes on. You talked about, these girls being placed in your home and moving schools and all the things that are burdens that are placed on foster parents to meet whatever the system says. We got, meetings in court and And trying to meet the needs of children along
Right.
with dealing with the trauma that they're bringing.
Yeah.
Right? That's a lot.
It is. It is.
And so our church responded by creating a ministry. It's called Life of Hope.
Okay.
It started, our 3-year anniversary will be in July of this year. So
Awesome.
we're still pretty babies in this.
Well, that's
We're still
okay.
pretty new, right? And so then I was so humbled. I'm so humbled by this, but I was asked to be the chair of this ministry in the beginning of 2023. And I will tell you, the devil kind of worked on me a little bit there, because I'm like, it can't be me. It can't be me who
Really?
should lead this. It surely can't. But I was encouraged to, and I see now where God has used. I talked about how I was abused in the past, how God has used all of that. Part of mine, I'll try not to go too deep in this, but part of my testimony is it took a long time for me to come to terms with the fact that God loved me too. And so I keep in mind, because I was abused, I felt like God didn't love me.
Wow.
That how could he have let something like that happen to me?
Right.
And I think about the children that are now being abused or that are in foster care and how they might be feeling.
Yeah.
And that's part of my heart behind all of this, is that they may not know that God loves them too.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
And that just because this happened has nothing to do with God not being there for them. And so that's part of my passion behind all of this, because I stayed away from God for a long time, and he kept chasing me, thankfully.
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm kind of getting off track, but this is where, so we kind of started.
Yeah.
And the idea was to start with supporting the families who have fostered or are fostering and adopting in our church. So we started looking at how we could support them. We created a clothing closet. And I know you're going to ask me some more questions, so I can kind of stop there, but I can get into more of that. But the intention was to figure out how could we respond as a church, and what could we do, because children were never, like I said earlier, they weren't meant to be raised by our government or by our state systems. They're meant to be raised in homes with families.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more with that. Talk to us about just the specific clothing closet. How does that work? Why do you have that? When do you respond? Those kind of things.
Yeah. So we call it the Life Locker.
Okay.
And it was created, the idea behind it is when children go into foster care, a lot of times they come to foster parents' homes with nothing, no clothing, maybe just the clothing on their back, if that.
Yeah. That happened for 2 different situations with us. They smelled like smoke because they had been in a house fire.
Yeah.
And then another time they had mismatched pajamas on.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah. And so then foster parents, they usually the reimbursement doesn't come for that kind of stuff till later, but they need it now. The children
like
need
immediately,
it now, right? So we have an on-call number that is manned by volunteers in our church.
Wow.
We have an on-call schedule.
Okay.
They can call this number, and within 24 hours, we can bring them clothing. We've provided formula and diapers and furniture and fire extinguishers. Sometimes it's what they call kinship placement, where children are placed with family, right?
Yeah.
Family. But there's still some requirements for being able to for the children to be able to be there. So we've
and a fire extinguisher is one of those requirements.
So we have fire extinguishers. We've given out car seats. Basically anything that you can think of that they might need in that
what
moment.
normal people have 9 months to prepare for when a baby or a child comes. I mean, you're needing everything that you would need for your own children,
Right.
And so, when they're coming, we got the call in time because we had already had these children in our home before, and then they were coming back. We got the call as a social worker was on the way to our house. And people from your church, I think it was before the ministry had started. This was in 2021. Immediately, I had texted some people and I was like, they are on their way. We need beds. We had people dropping off clothes, beds, pull-ups, toothbrushes, everything, mac and cheese, because I didn't have anything prepared for supper that night for kids, and so, oh my goodness, just we couldn't say thank you enough for that,
It warms my heart to think. I one of the things that our lead pastor, Scooter Nolan, says a lot is if Hope Church were to just not be there anymore, right, that the community should feel the impact. And that, what you just said to me, lets me know that even though you don't go to Hope Church,
Right.
that is an impact.
Oh, it
that would be
is.
an impact for you.
Yes.
And so that's what I keep that in my mind all the time. How are we
love that.
impacting the community,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Well, and you are. Okay, so we're at the closet.
Yes.
What else?
So we do it a couple, so that we've got the on call, and so what that's for is for any foster family first time placement for children. They can call it on call. Also, social workers can call, and it's
Okay.
anywhere. If you call, we're going to meet the need. It doesn't have to. You don't have to be part of our church. You don't have to be part of our county.
Wow.
If you call us, and we can figure out a way to meet you with it, we're going to do it.
Wow.
So it's for anybody that's going to call and has that need. The other way we use it is, so we have some events, which I can talk about later, but we have some events related to foster care and adoption and families involved. And so we've been giving away clothing.
Okay.
So this week, matter of fact, this week, our clothing closet is swapping over from winter clothes
okay.
to summer clothes.
Yeah.
So we're in the process of doing that. And so we have an event coming up where we're going to offer clothing to foster parents.
Wow.
And so then they can get the clothing while they're at this event.
Yeah.
And so we do that too. So we offer seasonal clothing.
Which we all know is so needed too.
Yes. I do have to say, this clothing closet is all filled by donations from our church members, from community members that are now that have heard about this Live Locker. There's very little that we have to buy.
Any sizes or every size. I imagine.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
And how do you donate if you are local? What would that look like?
So either you can call the on-call number that we have. A lot of times people just bring it to our church office and then they bring it back there, and so you can bring it to our church,
as easy
church
as
office
taking
and
it
just
to
say, hey,
Goodwill.
I'm bringing a donation for the Life Locker or for Life at Hope, and they'll make sure that it gets where it needs to go.
I love that. Okay, what else? What are some other things?
I was trying to think if there was anything else related to the clothing, to the Life Locker. I can't think of anything else there. We just try to meet the need where it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of anything else related to that.
Yeah.
As far as what else Life at Hope does, so we do have regular events. We added an event this year where we partnered with a barber here in the community.
I heard about this.
Yeah, so we had several barbers from the community, and we had this event where they just came and we invited foster families, adoptive families, kinship families to come and have their children's haircut. And so it was, and so
Something
it was
that
for
sounds
free.
so simple.
Yes.
But we all know, like, as mamas, foster mamas, whatever kind of mama, that's another thing on the list to get done. Like, oh man, I meant to make that appointment. At least for me.
Yes.
That's how I work. And so, to have a day that you could go and get everyone done at the same time.
Right.
My little boy my oldest son, he is a different skin tone than us. And so he has his hair feels different. So we go get our hair cut. My husband gets his hair cut at one place. He gets his hair cut at one place. Me and my daughter go to another place, And so to be able to, be able to do that at one time, that's even a blessing. That could look so minor, but that could take a whole job off of your day at one time. So I just think that that's so neat. And if you're listening and you're like, I don't have anything to offer, well, if you cut hair, you do have something to offer.
You do. And this all started with a barber named Mr. Stan. He works at Nat's Barbershop here in town, and so he has been providing haircuts. CPS workers will call my husband, and they'll coordinate together, and he'll cut for free.
Wow.
For children who have adopted. And so it was his idea, to be honest. He's like, we need to do this on a bigger scale. I want to be able to do more. And he ministers to the children as they're sitting there and talks to them about
That's
Jesus.
awesome.
And so it's such a, and he doesn't go to our church either. Like, he's just somebody in the community that saw the need. And so just like you're saying, there's something for all of us to do.
Yeah.
Right? If you don't feel the call for fostering, right? But it's okay. There's other things that we can all do to support this community.
One thing that's just coming to my mind right now, my son, his teacher's offering an art camp this summer. And so just in my sister, my big sister, she is amazing at art. She can do art just off the top of her head. I am not gifted in that way. Art would stress me out. Art helps her with her stress. She's called me over and been like, why don't you come do art? And I'm like, because I don't want to, I'm already stressed enough. But even something as simple as that, like, let's just have an art day where we get, I don't know, go on a nature hunt, do just things that you might get to do with your own children that these children in foster care have never gotten to experience.
Absolutely.
Because it will blow your mind whenever you're making, I have a story with ramen noodles. I cooked ramen noodles, and this little girl in my home started screaming. She was crying and screaming and did not understand why I was cooking her noodles. She had never had cooked ramen noodles. She was always, she could go to the pantry or cabinet, whatever, and get these ramen noodles out, and I guess cut them or somehow get them open. Her big brother probably did that for her, and they ate them without being cooked, and it completely scared her for the fact that I was cooking her ramen noodles. And so it's things like that happen that you're like, man, I sure have it good. I sure have it good.
Yeah.
And so these children, God will use these children to humble you and to also grow you.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So we have just a few more minutes left. So
yes.
Tell us what else.
So I do want to, so as part of the event, we have a Replanted conference that we have every year.
A Replanted conference?
It's called Replanted.
Okay.
I was just looking at the dates. It's for this year, it's November 8th and 9th.
Oh, okay.
It's a conference meant for foster or adoptive families to come and just get some education, get refreshed. We also have a track for children. So there's a children's conference. So we have that. That's coming. We have a Facebook page, Life at Hope, and we post all of our events there.
Okay.
We also do care communities for families in our church. And so it's a group of people that support them and wherever, bring meals once a week.
Wow.
Help with childcare. We do mentoring. We've done yard days. Wherever
so
the
it's
need
basically
is.
these families support a specific foster family.
Yeah, foster family, adoptive family. We just actually launched a care community for a biological family where the children were in foster care and they've come back home.
Wow.
And so
that's amazing.
Yes. Yeah.
Man.
So we've done that
because that
too.
can be, man, that's such a good thing to bring up because we have churches that know foster families need help, which they do.
Yes.
But then we have the biological families
Yes.
that could tend to get forgotten when the children go back home and the help that they really need.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I did not know that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So the way that this looks, this family in your church that's not involved necessarily in foster care, but now is because they're helping basically almost sponsor this family, a foster family or biological family, by making sure they have a meal, which busy mamas, busy daddies know how big of a blessing a meal can be. Oh my goodness.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Especially on days when they've got court and sometimes they can be there all day. You have, yes.
Yes, I have experience.
I was going to say, that sounds like you have
the last one's on the docket somehow every time.
Yes, for sure.
We would just take snacks and drinks and have we would call it a court date. So me and my husband would sit together all day long in court.
Court date. I love
and
that.
have lunch and a coffee usually, and that would be the most talking that we would get done sometimes.
Yeah.
Waiting to be called for court. But I also, like when you're involved in that stuff, some of that stuff can be it is so heavy because we know that's not how the Lord designed life to look, right?
Right.
And so, and you're hearing these stories of our children hurting, and so, I encourage people, if you are a foster family and that is what your day might look like, to even somehow make that a fun experience, for you. If you have childcare that day, you and your husband are together, you and your wife are together, sitting in court, make it a court date.
Yeah.
So, but okay, so we're getting to the last 2 minutes here, which is crazy. I told you the time would fly by.
It did, for sure.
Do you have any suggestions or advice on how churches could make this happen at their church?
I will say this, and I was thinking about how I should respond to this. Find a place to start small.
Mm.
Any place that you can support children and families will impact, and it grows. Let me tell you, the way that Life I Hope has grown in the last 3 years, almost not even 3 years,
Wow.
right, is just astounding to me how God has grown it. And so you just find the small places to start. And I say small, but the
Big.
places to start that feel, yes, because they are big.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be my thing.
Something small might look small to you, but can make someone's day a whole lot different.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Natalie, thank you so much for coming on. That time, I enjoyed so much talking to you. And I hope that someone listening today gets involved in foster care today because of this conversation, because we know that the Lord has commanded us to get involved with foster care somehow or another. We're talking about orphan kiddos and babies, not necessarily orphans all the time, but we know these children need help. We do. And so I always say to people, I feel like I would get too attached is what I hear. And I'm saying, I'll tell them, you're perfect for the job then. And so, because that is what the Lord commands us to do. So thank you so much for listening to Hannah's Heart, and we'll see you back next week.